flexibility is, I mean, being able to, if you bent down and put your toes on the, or your hands on the floor without bending your knees, then you're pretty flexible, right?
Right.
Sometimes you can even just go like this. If you can bend your finger all the way back, you're pretty flexible. I'm not very flexible, as you can see. Even when I'm going down, I'm not very flexible. But you don't have to be overly flexible at least in running, to be able to go through, the range of motion that's required for running.
Right.
But mobility is kind of a different thing. And so what is mobility? Well, mobility is the range of motion through the joints, whether it be the hips, the knees, the ankles, and but also being able to go through that range of motion with power and strength. And that's where I think a lot of people who exercise, run, bike, other types of activities are lacking in the mobility side of things. Flexibility, yeah, to a certain extent, that can always be, managed through general range of motion. You're okay on that. So we're going to talk about a few things that we can do to increase our mobility. And we'll just kind of go through the packet here. If you look, one thing I really like to concentrate on are our hips. Our hips are always kind of some of the weakest parts of our body in terms of exercise and also in mobility. So maybe we can just all do it together. Why don't we just kind of go down? And what we want to do is learn about technique, right? So with this, what we're trying to do is open up the hip flexors, and increase that range of motion. So it's important to have good posture, good technique. You want to be, sort of at a 90-degree angle here and there, and then just tilt your pelvic forward. Can you feel the stretch in your thigh right there? You hold that for about 20 to 30 seconds. Repeat that 2 to 3 times, and that's just going to help, stretch the quad a little bit, but also open up those hip flexor muscles and the hip joint. And then you just hold that for 30 to 60 seconds and repeat on the other side. We can just repeat that on the other side if you want there. Now, the key is kind of tilting that in. If your back starts to hurt, then you're kind of doing it wrong. You're kind of bending at the back. You just want to kind of tilt that pelvis forward and feel that stretch through the thighs there. Okay. Another common injury for people that work out is kind of some piriformis, tightness, and that can affect, anywhere down through the hamstrings, up in the glutes, the hip, and so we want to just try to open that up and keep that part healthy, and so we can do this piriformis stretch. And if you want to go through it with me, we can just lay down here. So with this one, what you want to do is lay down on your back, bring your knee up, and then tilt it to the side and grab it with your hand, and then sort of push on your knee outward and bring that leg forward. And can you feel that pull and that stretch right through the piriformis? So that's the proper technique on that one, and I would do it on both sides. There you go. Feeling that? So that's going to help open up that hip joint, but also big thing is stretch that piriformis muscle to help with that range of motion that we all struggle with through the hips. Another kind of exercise or even a warm-up that we can do to help increase mobility is do walking lunges. With a walking lunge, basically you just take a step forward, keep your back straight, and come down with your knee almost touching you want to keep this knee at about a 45-degree angle. If you're going too far forward and then you step up, it's going to kind of hurt the knee. And so, you want to do a proper technique, keep that at about a 90-degree angle, and back up and go through it. That's going to, again, increase the range of motion. It's going to strengthen the muscles around the joint. It's also going to help warm up those muscles and prepare you for your exercise. So that's something you can do just prior to exercise as sort of a warm-up, a dynamic warm-up. And it also helps stretch things out. Generally, I recommend to be flexible and mobile is to do dynamic warm-ups, and that's where you're doing some sort of movement. Sometimes you'll see people just stretching right before they run, and that's a static stretch is not really great for the muscles because they're not really warmed up. You want to save that for after the workout. That's when you want to do a lot of your stretching, is because your muscles will already be warmed up. But before you work out, you definitely want to do dynamic movements. That's why those walking lunges. You can do kind of some leg swings and things. That will help increase the range of motion, but also warm up the muscles, prep them for the activity, so that way you are less likely to get injured and help strengthen things. All right, what else we got here? The side lying hip abduction. That's another one where we can strengthen our hips. It's best when we're starting out to lean up against a wall. We would position ourselves maybe against a wall, keeping our butt against the wall, our shoulder blades against the wall, and preferably our back, trying to keep that straight line. And then basically it's a matter of just raising one leg and keeping your heel, keep that heel up against the wall. And that'll give you a good guide to stay nice and straight, so you're not, if your foot starts leaning forward, then you're not in good positioning or proper technique. And so leaning up against the wall is a good way to do that one. There's some instructions in there on how to do that. That's going to help strengthen and free up the hip joint there. Some other things that you can do, have you ever done anything with like a foam roller before?
Been a long time.
Do you have some of these here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
just on the wall there, the black ones?
Yeah, the black rollers, yeah. There's a lot of different things you can do with a foam roller. And some things you can do to increase your mobility and flexibility is keeping the muscles loose and helping to release, do a myofascial release, just kind of a relaxation of the muscles, and that can be performed by foam rolling. For runners and cyclists and stuff, we try to focus on the major muscle groups, the calves, the quads, your glutes, and then just the hamstrings are kind of really important for keeping those loose. But would you want to go through a couple of exercises on these? Yeah. And there's different types. Like this is going to be your least aggressive. This is sort of this is a pretty hard density, but it's not as dense as some others that are out there. It's a good one to start out with, to begin with. There's other products like this that you can really trigger point areas. Great for like the piriformis, awesome for working out knots in the hamstring. This will do that also to an extent, but then if you want to graduate and really put some torture on yourself, go with something like that, right? Also this is another type of a roller that you can use these ridges to get in deeper and to help even relax the muscles a little bit more. But definitely I'd recommend something like that to start out with, for sure. Let's just go over some proper technique on this, but yeah, go ahead and throw that down. Let's work out our calf. Let's just kind of work out our calf. So really simple. You just, you can either do both legs like that. I will sometimes just do one at a time, and I'll cross my foot over so that I'm getting extra pressure on. What you want to do is start from the ankle and then kind of roll up. Now, you just want to go slow, and all of a sudden you get to a point where, ow, I can feel it. That might be a little bit of a knot there, and you can actually just pulse it back and forth in a certain area to help loosen that up. I often see a lot of people just kind of like going really fast like this, and it's going to help, but not as effective as just kind of taking your time, and then when you feel a knot, either just stay on it for a second or pulse back and forth, and that's going to really help loosen that spot up. How's that feel? Feels good, but it hurts.
Good after leg day.
Yeah. And it's great to do it afterward. That's what I would definitely do after. It's gonna then take that muscle that's tired and sore, it's knotted up, and help loosen it, break up any scar tissue that's formed, and help you recover the next day. One big injury that comes on a lot is what's called IT band, especially if you're doing a lot of running. And what that is you have a band that connects to the top of the hip and it connects down here to the knee. Sometimes people get IT band syndrome where they get a lot of pain and irritation on the outside of the knee. And let's just practice how to do that. So turn on your side like this. You ready to cry? This one might hurt. So you get on the side like this, cross over your leg, there you go. And basically we're going to roll back and forth from the knee all the way up to the hip. How's that feel? That hurts, huh? Yeah, and same thing, if you get to a spot where you're like, ow, you can kind of pulse on that or just stay there for a minute. Try not to cry, because it can hurt. And you want to do these as long as you can stand it, but I would say 3 to 5 minutes on each area. Yeah. But you're welcome to try that other side if you want. But a lot of this you should do as a preventative measure. And definitely if you're having issues and problems with the IT band, then you want to do it more often. But if you do this consistently, maybe 3 times a week or something, just as a preventative measure, you're going to stay a lot more healthy, be a lot more flexible, reduce the likelihood of injuries, things like that. Well, that's it in a nutshell. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Blake.
Got it.